Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Evans, and this is a descriptive promo for the virtual keynote that I've been providing for companies and teams since the pandemic kicked in and basically turned life as we know it on its ear. So these keynotes are roughly 30 minutes or so, either pre-recorded or live, with either one of those formats then being followed up with a live, fun, interactive Q&A session, which gives all the attendees an opportunity to take a bit of a deeper dive into the topics and then flesh out exactly how those themes and topics relate to this new mountain range that we're all currently climbing in. And these topics are very COVID specific as I interpret them through the lens of my life spent as an emergency room physician assistant and international mountain guide. Because what's become very clear to me recently is that these same traits and characteristics and behaviors that I have had to learn and adopt and harness over the years of working in emergency department trauma rooms, as well as guiding clients on the biggest mountains in the world, are exactly the same backpack of tools that all of us are being required to embrace in this new normal that we're operating in, no matter what your role, professionally and personally. So although I wouldn't consider myself an expert on how to quarantine like this guy, this is the goat of sequestering, I'm confident that the stories I'll share with you and the learning that is baked into them will provide you and your teams, a fresh way to identify and interpret the objective challenges that you have and then continue to climb up towards the summit. So a quick background check on me, just to give you a sense of where these stories and these learning assets are actually coming from. I've been a physician assistant for 20 years now, 16 of which I spent working in the emergency department. And then I started volunteering on multiple medical missions around the world, mostly to natural disaster sites, but then also some of the man-made variety. Most recently, I led a team of trauma specialists to Iraq, where we embedded with the Iraqi Special Operations Forces as they were fighting to eradicate ISIS from Mosul. For weeks, we took care of their trauma casualties, and then towards the end of our deployment, ISIS got wind of our position and targeted us. So good times. I then also had the honor of being the chief medic, working with an amazing team of pilots and Sherpas, conducting search and rescue operations in the Himalayas, where we were plucking climbers off of Everest and a lot of those surrounding peaks. But as well as being a physician assistant, I've also been an international mountain guide for close to 30 years now, guiding clients, and then most notably, guiding the first blind climber to the summit of Mount Everest with an amazing team. I've been guiding my good buddy, Eric Weinmeyer, who happens to be blind, on big mountains and rocks all over the world for 25 years now, essentially being his eyes and keeping him alive, communicating effectively, nurturing trust, and managing high-level rope teams. All of the same assets that we're all being required to embrace these days. Another relative addendum that I want to tell you about, though, is my new book, Climbing Through Storms, Managing Adversity in a VUCA World, will be available for purchase in the summer of 2020. VUCA is an acronym that was coined by the American War College back in the 80s, and it stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And it all centers around, you guessed it, adversity and uncertainty. So pretty timely and relevant for right now. So as you can tell, I've been operating in, I think, what most folks would probably consider fairly complex and uncertain situations for all of my adult life. And it's been my mission to distill out the learning objectives that have been baked into these experiences and then share them with audiences, which I've been doing for 20 years now. But just as all of us are being required to do now, we've made the pivot and are offering this content in a virtual format. So what do these events look like? Well, you'll hear some real life stories and experiences that take place in fairly challenging and daunting environments. And then most importantly, the lessons that were learned from those experiences and the people that I shared them with. And just as I do with my in-person keynotes, I customize the topics to fit which organizations deem the most valuable. But for the purposes of this promo, I just want to list out a handful of the most pertinent COVID-specific high-level takeaways. So number one, the need to be willing to adjust the route up the mountain so that it's congruent with the set of conditions that are presented to us currently real time. Number two, the value in unpacking our backpacks and inventorying the tools and equipment in order to confirm that we have all the appropriate tools for the job, and then making adjustments as necessary, real time. Number three, how in real time we should be constantly assessing the overall health of the rope team. We are all connected by a rope, and in some cases now, a virtual rope. So now is more critical than ever to be paying attention to the tension of the rope that we're all connected to, and nurturing that concept of the collective power of one that the rope creates. Number four, acclimatizing as we move up the mountain. This is a metaphoric look at how we need to be diligent on how we ascend the mountain, giving our bodies and our teams the time necessary to climb the mountain in a healthy way. Just like we do in mountaineering, it means sometimes we have to listen to our minds and bodies and then pump the brakes a bit and slow down, pace ourselves to be able to move up from camp to camp. Number five, managing the storms that circle around us, assessing the forecast and determining when and how we will move from camp to camp in a safe and efficient way. So that's the 30,000 foot view of my virtual keynote. And I look forward to sharing my message with you, interacting during a live Q&A dialogue session, and providing you with some of the solid tools for you and your teams to take forward in this new and somewhat daunting mountain range that we're all navigating in. Thank you, stay healthy, and keep climbing.